Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to Hands Across the Water. UlsterBear Fridays, we're calling this one, Baz. Normally we have a wee Monday slot, but we couldn't make it work this Monday, so it feels like ages since we've been on, and so much has happened. But it's good to see you, Baz. How you keeping, mate?
All good, William. Lots of good Rangers exposure all week, so I'm sure tonight's will be all about a wee bit more positivity, hopefully.
100%. Just before we start, actually, I'm going to stick the wee red hand up since it's UlsterBear Friday. There we go, the wee red hand up in the corner just to make us feel a wee bit more at home. Um, Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff's happened. The comments, like I'm looking at all the ones who are already commenting, and here, Baz, our usual, our regulars. I was watching that Shanghai port match with everybody else. We were all writing in the comments and having some crack. We had some banter, and I know you were working, Baz. You were busy, you didn't get to involve the comments, but the banter was absolutely fantastic. But we'll start off. It's just good. It's good to see everyone in there as usual. Thank you for supporting us, everyone who is in the comments so far. I know there'll be more. And if anyone is watching and hasn't subscribed, please do and like the page and stuff because it really does help us. Yeah, Baz, the last time we were chatting, mate, it was you were wanting Gerard, obviously. I was not that Monday, but the Monday before we were on with Frankie. I was wanting Muscat. You got me on the Gerard train because I was thinking, Muscat's not going to happen. Barry's like, you had really pushed on the Gerard's definitely going to happen, William, and all. And then we got on board with that. And unfortunately, it didn't. But it's a bit of old news now, Baz. But what's your quick thoughts on the whole Gerard situation since the listeners haven't obviously been able to hear your views on it, mate?
I'll keep it brief with Gerard because obviously that train has bolted. But unfortunately, what we thought was about to go over the line didn't. Unfortunately, for me, that is genuinely who I wanted, but it is what it is. It's not the time for Stevie G. This time around again. Um, how why he walked away, we just don't know at this minute in time. And we can have our theories on certain things. I won't go into that because I don't think there's much point because we don't really know. We're not even speculating. But yeah, we're now on the Muscat train, so it's been a hell of a week. But I don't know. With Rangers, nothing is easy these days, and unfortunately, we're all going to have to just be very patient with this particular one.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. I wasn't big on the Gerard thing, but as you know, Baz, me and you were chatted about it, and I was listening to your points of view, and you were listening to mine, and then I was starting to take on board your points of view, being the older brother and stuff. I have to listen to you, unfortunately, and I take your advice on board, and then I was fully on board with it, and then I was speaking to the partner stuff. We went away on Saturday, as you know. Me and the partner went down to have a wee weekend away, and I was said to her, "Here's me look, this is going to be a great weekend because there's no Rangers on. It's international football. There's nothing they can do to ruin this weekend." And I went to get a few beers and came back to the table. My phone was blowing up, and the next minute the news came out that Gerard had pulled out of the race. And so much for Rangers not being able to ruin that weekend, and of course they did, because that's just, well, they didn't ruin it, but you know what I mean. Usually Rangers giving you a bloody nose, should I say? Um, but yeah, it's been a bit amateurish looking, and I know it's the right bar. It's easy to say that from the outside because nothing's come out from the club and nothing's come out from Gerard, obviously. But it just doesn't look too good when the likes of George pulled out when it looks so close, and obviously the likes of your man Rolls pulled out. I think, to be fair, he is probably, and he's probably sat there and thought, right, hold on. I was 50-50 of getting the job the very first time when it was him and Russell Martin was the last two. I think there were last three. And then it ended up there was he didn't get it at that stage, but he was in talks, so to say. And then obviously with the Gerard situation, then Gerard pulled out, and again Muscat's name comes out of nowhere. And to be fair, your man Rose probably just went ahead on. I'm just being led along here like a stray dog, and he's just went, I'm out of here. And I think he was fair, Barry, in doing that. I don't know what you think.
I tend to think the backlash against Rule was a major part in it. I do know with the Rangers board, they're very out. They do check out social medias because it's the easiest way to get the sort of the vibe from the fans. And Danny Rule, who, by the way, could be a very excellent coach. But at this moment in time, the Rangers fans don't want another, Russell Martin situation where, somebody who you're basically, you're looking at him thinking this is a gamble again, and the fans aren't ready for that type of gamble. They want somebody with a bit more of a, authority and position, and Gerrard would have had that, and the likes of Muscat has that. Danny Rowe's very tender in his career, and the timing for me personally just wasn't right. And you could get that the fans were really on the same sort of train with Rowe. There was a few, yes, we're trying to argue about getting them in, but mostly they weren't really up for it. And I think the Rangers owners have maybe taken that on board and thought, is this something we want to do right now, and bring a younger guy in who's a huge gamble, and we're not going to get the fans on board straight away with this. So I think there's probably an element in that. And I think that at the end of the day, Danny Rowe has probably seen that himself. And the fact that he hasn't been offered it, especially when Gerrard left the table, well, then Rangers have had to move on to somebody else. And obviously, at the minute, that looks like it's Muscat.
Oh, well, if you can tell, it's a Friday. I haven't actually. I'm sitting talking when I'm on mute. I haven't had any beers, honestly. I'm on Pepsi at the minute, but no beers just yet. Yeah, no, Baz, you're 100% right, mate. I think when you look at it, the support just weren't interested in that again. See, after the Russell Martin scenario, now we know the club wanted to go down that route, and they did say, the talks were they weren't going to listen to the fans again. Basically, what they were going to do is it's all going to be no. It's going to be we'll do it our way because we know better, and the fans have maybe led the club too much, and we have in the past because anything we've said, the old board sort of always would have went like that, checked the wind and went, what way do the fans think, and that's the way we'll go, and it didn't work. 4 months in, and it looks like that whole scenario is out the window, and they've went down the Muscat route, which the old board were very close to doing in the first instance. Only they went for Clement in the end, probably to do with the time difference again. Because no matter when you want to go and get Kevin Muscat, when he's working out in Asia Bar, it's never going to 100% work. Time wise, you are going to have that bit of a wait, unfortunately, unless we had a win earlier in the season, obviously. But with him, with what he played a game a day, 3 games to go until the win a league title. I can't see anyone wanting to leave that early. When you've got 3 games to go, it's hard to say. And I know a lot of people, and they're right, a lot of supporters will be cracking up going, and this is Rangers. You leave now or you don't come. But the problem is, it's all right saying that, but, if we had 3 games to go in a league title and say the likes of a Premier League club, with Spurs or whoever in the Premier League came knocking, and our manager bolted with 3 games to go, we would call him a rat, a traitor. Yourself, as what would happen. So as much as it's going to be a bit of a nuisance for us, and hopefully not too much damage until Muscat comes, Baz, but I think it's worth the wait if it's the right man, because we can't keep doing this every season and getting it wrong.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Muscat, Muscat had 4 games to go before this morning. And you're totally right. If a Rangers manager done that, it would be rats all around the UK. It would be absolutely mental if they'd done that, and you were leading the title race with 3 or 4 games to go, and you just left and went to somewhere else. For me, that shows good loyalty from Muscat till his current employment. And for me, if barring any last minute hitches, Muscat gets named the new manager, head coach. Well, for me, that brings loyalty to Rangers, because that shows that what type of a guy he actually is, that he wants to see the job through before he moves on. And for me as a Rangers fan, and I'm sure everybody that's watching now, that's a real big positive. The fact that you're bringing somebody in who, when he's in a particular job, is fully loyal to the cause. And Muscat didn't spend a lot of time at Rangers, but he spent enough time at Rangers as a treble winner to know what it's all about at Ibrox and what the demands are of the fans. And at the end of the day, I embrace that. I think that's a great attribute to have, that you bring somebody in that has that sort of loyalty. I think that's key, and that's exactly the sort of person that we need at this club right now.
Yeah, John says the same. He's showing the law-down character of the man, and exactly, I agree with that. But just like you said, Baz, and it's all right, thinking that way. Some of the supporters, and that's why I said it there at the start. I do understand it. Anyone cracking up and thinking, you should be here right now, and I do understand it. But also, as the way we look at it is, it's your character and your loyalty to the cause. That's what we want for us going forward, and I think we will get that. I was actually listening today. There was someone on TalkSport had one of the guys was saying that he was speaking to Kevin Muscat a couple of years ago as well about this job, and he says he told him, like, he says, I've always wanted this job. I was in one of the English. I can't remember which person it was in TalkSport, but he says he just kept up with the Rangers job. He's always wanted this job, which is a good thing for us, because he knows Baz coming here. As one of the other comments as well says, he'll embrace the chaos of the old firm games and stuff, and he will. But what he'll get into those players, Barry, straight away is being like, right, this is the standards here. You know what I mean? All right, you pointed out there, he maybe wasn't here he was only here for a season, but here he can put 3 medals on the table as soon as he walks in. Say how many of you have won here. You know what I mean? I know what I'm talking about. I know what it takes to win here. You know what I mean? And I don't think he'll take any shade from these players, if I'm being honest, Baz.
No, and that's what the players need. They need a proper figurehead that doesn't talk pure shite. They need somebody that comes in and talks, they know where they're coming from with their speech, their coaching, what they want out of the players, what the commitment, what it takes to be at Rangers, what it takes to win at Rangers, which in the short time that he was there, he did win. He lifted 3 trophies in the one season, so he knows what it takes to do that. His record in managerial is our head coach is extremely high. He's won a lot of trophies, so trophies seem to be something that follows him, and that's what I would say to all Rangers fans. In his career and as a player, especially at Rangers, and as a manager, trophies seem to be a magnet to him. And we're all Rangers, man. We're starved of these days of lifting league championships, Scottish Cups, etc. And we've been starved of it for the last 15 years. That's how long it's been. It's been a really, really difficult time over the last decade and so. So I'm hoping that magnet with Muscat comes to Ibrox and we lift trophies with him. Now, we're looking at the league title this season. That's a hell of an ask for anybody to do, considering our current position. But we've still 2 cups to play for, and I just think Muscat can bring that much needed experience and that winning mentality. Somebody that if you looked at like Russell Martin, he didn't come with that. Russell Martin came with trying to get promoted from the Championship, trying to stay in the Premier League. These types of things. That's not winning mentality. That's survival. Muscat comes with a completely different ethos and a completely different mindset, and that's exactly what Rangers need right now.
Well, the fact is, you think about the manager, we hopefully, because you don't want to say definitely with Rangers, because anything can happen with Rangers, but as it looks for me, we're bringing in a guy who we know has won titles in Australia, Cups, etc. Goes to the J League and, as I say, done really well there, winning another title. And he didn't have to leave that club. He wasn't sacked. He left that club for a better opportunity in China. You know what I mean? For this other now, so he's already left the club from a winning mentality to go to another, taking a gamble there because you can stay comfortable. He's took a gamble, went to that Chinese team, won them the league, the first time ever in their history they've ever won a league double. He's 3 games away from winning it again. So we're getting a manager here who's been with 2 clubs, very successful in the very recent future, past there. And that doesn't happen very often. I know a lot of people say, it's the tiddlywinks, it's this, it's that. And people are going to say it because obviously we don't see enough of those leagues. We don't know enough about them. But look, all we're looking is a manager to come in and beat St. Mirren, St. Johnstone, Motherwell, Livingston on the regular. We've tried everything else. We've tried come on from Belgium. We've tried people from the Championship. We've tried this new sexy football, as they want to call it, under Russell Martin. I just want someone who goes all out attack and just goes for the throats. We've proved, and we hate saying it. I know we hate looking at them across the city. Big hands at the end of the day. Done well. That kind of football works in Scotland. It's been proved to work, and He's worked under Ange before in a couple of clubs, actually, I think, and plays his same sort of style, and he'll have his own different tweaks on it. But that's what we need at Rangers, boy. Just all out attack, no pissing about. See these here, you know yourself, it's taking Rangers 45 minutes, as it does, Baz, sometimes. They even get into a game before they get their arses booted. I just want Rangers to go in and look at, no offence, they like Livingston at Ibrox Park and say, "Yous are fucked." Do you know what I mean? We're getting torn into these here, and that's what you'll get with a Russell Moore, or with a Russell Moore. Well, you're going to get with a Kevin Muscat team, and it's something we've been starved from for so long. You know, so I'm excited. I'm just hoping that the damage can be limited as much as possible until he gets in, and hopefully, if he wins the league earlier, he can come in earlier. But I'm excited with this one, Baz. Honestly.
100%. You know, it's like you're never going to, no manager or head coach that goes to any club, anybody's guaranteed success. That it doesn't matter who they are. We've seen the best of coaches, even Mourinho, when he went to certain clubs, you know, it doesn't always work out. But at Rangers at the minute, we've been appointing the wrong people at the wrong times. I just feel at this time, this is the type of manager that needs to come in and kick the horses, and Muscat will do that. You know, he's as a player, he was an absolute psycho. You know, that man would have cut you in two, even if you didn't have the ball. That's the type of guy he was. But you know, on the pitch, he was a leader, was a absolute nut job, and that's what Rangers have been lacking, especially against these teams in the Scottish League. That tackle, that burst and run, that you know, that commitment in the middle of the park. And to be honest with you, you know, the players that we have in and the way the team's been set up all season is the shackles were on them. They weren't allowed to express themselves. They weren't allowed freedom in the pitch. They weren't allowed to attack. That's the way it looked to me. You know, our strikers, Mayoski, Shermity, no matter who's been up front, how many chances have they actually been getting? The ball never goes to them. And that's been a huge problem. And I'm hoping that when Muscat comes in straight away, when he eventually comes in, is that he allows the players to attack. You know, you use the utilities at their very best. I did see a comment there about a lot of goals being leaked by the Chinese team, but I think it's one of them leagues, William. You know, it's one of them leagues where there's a lot of attacking.
Can I put a bit of context on that? Now it's the end of the season. You think about this. Just think the Premier League, boy. Right, you've got one team need to win, obviously, to get to stay on top of the division, and the other team are in a relegation fight and have to win to try and get out of it. So just for a wee bit of context, when I was looking at the table, I could understand why we were watching two teams there that went all out desperate to try and win the match.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. You know, it was a top of the end, top tables, top of the teams looking to get what it needs to win the title. The bottom team's trying to stay up. I get all that there. I'm not overly worried about that in the Chinese league, to be honest with you. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm sure Muscat will address certain different things till the Scottish league rather than just the Chinese league. You know what I mean? So I'm sure Muscat.
Did you hear what he said, Barry? He said, what made me laugh, though, everyone will say, what's the match says it was madness, and it was madness. It was nuts. It was like FIFA. Do you know what he said after the match? He says, I thought we were a wee bit conservative today. And I thought to myself, holy this is going to be nuts.
Yeah, I think Muscat's going to bring a huge ball of light to Glasgow. I honestly do. I think you're going to see some really crazy times ahead. And in the good way, like I honestly think that Muscat's going to bring something different to the table that we haven't seen at Ibrox for a very, very long time. Probably, I actually would say since Sassunas days. That sort of maverick type of a manager, you know, that sort of, you know, Sassunas was a crazy guy on the pitch, like he had a brookie in too as well, like. But I think you're going to see a similar type of head coach in the way he conducts with the players and how he'll make the players stand up to be counted a lot more. I think you're going to see a wee bit of Souness-esque, do you know?
Yeah, look, you know what I think, boy? I think we're going to see some professionalism, and I think we're going to see a man, as you say, I think we're going to see a manager coming in who will not see that we have had managers in the past, right? Now I'm not going to say Russell Martin because he was useless. It just wasn't working. It never worked. But we have had the likes of Geo Club legends come here, and a wee bit too nice, if I'm being honest, and being hoodwinked by a lot of these players. Do you know what I mean? Time after time, the same players. How many times have we seen new managers coming in and going, well, you know, I've looked at them in the eyes and they're going to give me everything, these lads. Barry Ferguson done the same. What happens next minute? You're 3-0 down. You know what I mean? In a match, you're sitting against Kilmarnock away and you're going, nah, hoodwinked again. I don't think this guy will be hoodwinked. He's a winner. He knows what it takes to win. He's done it in 3 different divisions. You know what I mean? And as I say, it's that's what's exciting me. You know, I watched there was an interview with him as well a few months ago. I watched it today. It was the start of the season. And what I liked that is as well, when about the likes of Russell, sort of Raskin, remember the whole argument Raskin had said, and Neil McCann himself had said, look, Raskin likes to challenge, you know, he likes to ask, you know, why are we doing it this way? And it was funny because Kevin Muscat, when he was in an interview, he was chatting and he said, look, he says, I like players and my coaches, he says, challenging me. He says, I like them sometimes. He says, I don't mind. See if players come up or my own coaches sometimes and go, look, Kevin, what about this way? You know, just throwing out ideas. He says he never takes that nasty. He always actually takes that on board and then he'll have a think and go, well, maybe if I do it, can I do it that way? And he made a point of saying, I don't want players ever scared of, or my fellow coaches under me to ever be always on a yes man. He says, I like people that can come to me and challenge me. And I think that's what we need as well, you know, and but just a relationship player and manager that can, you know, everybody on the same board. And we haven't had that for a while, Baz, at Ibrox.
Well, each individual player knows their own strengths. They know their own weaknesses. You know, I mean, these footballers know themselves better than anybody else. And I always feel if a good coach or good manager that listens to the players as well. You know, we had this situation with the likes of Raskin at the start of the season, playing out in a position that he didn't want to play. He didn't feel comfortable in. It then created a wee bit of hassle for him down the line. He didn't feel like he was getting listened to. It didn't feel like he was getting taken on board of what he was looking to do, and that was a huge until the last couple of games where he played and he was playing in his more natural position. I think Muscat will identify each player to what their best strengths are, and he will listen to them and he will take on board what they have to say as well. Because at the end of the day, you need happy players going onto the pitch. You can't have players going onto the pitch who are being played out of position, not being allowed to express themselves, not being allowed to attack a game. And I'm hoping that Muscat actually does do that. Going by his previous resume, you would say that will happen. But again, we've been talking about Muscat for quite a while now, and there's nothing actually done yet as a done deal. We're hoping it's all done deal, and we're hoping that's going to be the announcement soon. But until that happens, aren't we, William? We're getting ourselves so carried away at the minute. It's getting crazy, isn't it?
I know, it's true. And but you know what? Look, Baz, that excitement. Like if people looks at the pods at the start of the season, we had that, so we were buzzing, weren't we, when we heard the Yanks were coming in and stuff. And as everybody was, you know what I mean, we were really buzzing. We were expecting a really good season, and you don't expect, you want to win the league every year, of course you do. But if someone had said to us, look, lads, don't be getting too excited because you're only going to win one match out of your first 8 league games, we would never, even under the worst circumstances, we would never have believed that. And at the end of the day, it took too long for Russell Martin to go, unfortunately. But listen, I don't think he was. I think they were going to hang on in there with him, if I'm being honest. Only the support just weren't happening. And I think Andrew Cabin had seen a bin fire and he was like, all right, that needs to be put out. Because it's, you know, you've got the likes of Thelwell in his ear saying to him, as he said to us in the support, not that international break, the one prior before the Hearts game, when he was telling us he's one of the best coaches he's ever seen and all this crap that he's ever worked with. And when like Andrew Calvin is hearing that, maybe he's thinking, okay, well, look, this guy's been involved in football. Maybe he knows. So let's see how it works. Didn't, unfortunately, and it should have been done after the bruise, and it wasn't. It's been done now. As I say, hopefully the damage isn't too much. But I just wanted to say, Baz, about Stevie Smith. Stevie Smith, his interview today was quite interesting. Here's if I can get one of the quotes up from him, and this quote told me a lot. We will look to, this is Stevie Smith at the press conference. We will look to strip it back and simplify it. You can't overload players with information; it only confuses them. That tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Well, when the under-18 managers basically coming out and saying everything that the fans have been saying all season about the last regime was just simplify it. Just let the players play. Don't, the overloading of tactical crap, because that's what was happening. And that's quite, when you listen to Stevie Smith actually saying that, William, that actually shows you how bad the problem was. I mean, it was so bad, wasn't it? And when an under 18 manager comes up, and his first diagnosis of what he needs to do tomorrow is basically what the fans have been saying all season. Just simplify it. Just let the boys go out and play football. None of this, tippy tappy, past 20 times looking for an opening nonsense crap, because it was never going to work in Scotland. Never going to work. And I'm so glad to hear Stevie say that. And I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow's match. That the fact that Stevie said that, and he's obviously instructed the players for tomorrow, go out and play football. There's a great crowd tomorrow, and just way you go and express yourselves. I think that's really refreshing.
Yeah, 100%. And he made a point of saying as well, like, I think we've got a good group of players here from what and stuff like that. So it was sort of innuendos that let like, we have a good team here. If you simplify the game and just let them sort of play their own game, I mean, without going crazy and micromanaging, which happens a lot in football. Someone on the Heart and Hand podcast, I can't remember who it was, but mentioned that they were shouting at players. Like, one of the players before the ball even kicked off in Falkirk, you could see the manager running over and saying, "Here, 2 yards, stand 2 yards to this side." This is the micromanaging nonsense that was happening. And I think we just need the shackles off them. It'll be interesting to see how the likes of our wingers play tomorrow, Baz. Likes of Antman, the prime example. Antman was unplayable his first game, and he was only through the door and literally thrown into the match. Ever since then, when Russell Martin got his teeth into him and whispering in his ear how to play football the right way, that guy hasn't looked the same player. So I think hopefully tomorrow in the next few games, and especially under Muscat with the way the wingers play, I think the likes of Antman, I like the likes of Gassama, the likes of young Curtis Finley and stuff, or Finley Curtis, sorry. I think they're gonna love playing under these managers. Just gonna just let them be a bit more free and play their own game.
Well, but talk about Antman. Antman came off a plane. He was only saying came off a plane, hadn't been coached. There was not much time to even speak to Antman. He basically went straight into the team. Best game he's played for us was the game he wasn't coached. As soon as Russell Martin got him in for a week, his training, the guy completely disappeared. He went from attacking on the outside to constantly cutting into the left. It was crazy. And for me, that's how bad of a coach we had, that he stripped back the players' of 100% best attributes and turned them into something completely different. And that was a serious, serious problem. I mean, I would like to think that the new head coach that comes in if he plays tomorrow, the likes of Stevie Smith will say to him, do what you do best. You've got the pace, you've got the beating of the fullback, get down the wing and get that ball straight into the box. And that's what Stevie's probably saying about simplifying it. Use the players for their best attributes. What's your best attribute, man? Oh, well, I like to head down to the wing, take the player on, get the ball in the box. Right, where you go. That's how simple it is, and
yeah, no, the thing is, Baz, if you look at our players, like, we know our players are better than what they're coming up against most weeks. Now, it hasn't looked that way, unfortunately, but if you're being honest, you're looking at like Antman and what he done to Dutch the Eredivisie last season. Absolutely crazy numbers. Gassama, we know, we've all seen him, looks fantastic. Miowski, who we know that guy in Scottish League, he's a torture. He's a fantastic player. He's a goal scorer in this league. We know what he can do. We know what Raskin can do. It's just been, that has been the issue, as you say. It's just been overcoached, micromanaging nonsense, and it's just, hopefully now the players will just breathe easy and go, right, let's just have a bit of fun. And go and beat them. That's what we're hoping to see anyway. And I don't think the pressure will be on as much tomorrow, but only because I think the support will be a wee bit happier just for the fact that Russell Martin's not there. And obviously Stevie Smith, he's been there for a long time. He's got a lot of respect from the supporters. He's won things as a player. He's come back under a second spell when we were in the dumps and done a credit again. And obviously he's been at the club for quite some time as a coach. So the supporters won't be getting on Stevie's back tomorrow, no matter what happens. Definitely not. It's up to the players now. It's easy to go on too much about Russell Martin, but it's up to the players now to go out and prove that they can go out and play.
If you look at it, William, Nico Raskin is playing for the Belgian national team. He is getting huge reviews, huge. The Belgian fans are absolutely loving Nico Raskin at the minute, the way he's playing for Belgium. He's playing like a superstar. He's playing like a 40, 50 million pound player sitting beside Kevin De Bruyne, who's probably one of the best midfielders ever to lace a pair of boots in the modern era. And he's sitting going shoulder to shoulder with him and playing as well as him. You have Asegard, who goes to Norway, pumps 4 goals. You've got Mickey Moore, goes on international duty, gets a hat trick, then scores another couple of goals. But when they've been playing for Rangers, that hasn't been happening. Why? Because it comes down to the same old thing. I'm not going to repeat myself too much in the old regime, but there was a major, major problem. These guys are not bad players. They're international players with good pedigree. It just needs the right coaching setup with the right people in charge and let them go and play the way they play the best. Altman was the same. Altman got man of the match for Finland, had an assist. So these aren't guys, William, who aren't, we have pulled from the gold rooms. These are international players playing in World Cup qualifiers, playing at the highest level. And it's getting the tune out of them.
But this is what I don't understand, Baz. Right? We've done this for years. Like you yourself, everyone laughs all the time. If we get a left back in, people will go, "Ha, can't wait to see him at centre back. Can't wait to see him at centre mid or whatever." And it happens. And the likes of Antman, who you've seen, you know what he done near Divisie last year. We know what he can do. We brought him in because of obviously of what he's done previous. And as soon as we get our hands on them, we're like, well, we'll change them up a wee bit and we'll try and tweak them. And you're going, why not just fucking bring him in to play the way he played last season that works, and that's why you got him in the first place? Why are we fucking about changing and swapping around players? The likes of the Aaron, I'm just going to call him Orange because I can't see that Aaron's name. I don't get that name. I'm just going to call him Orange, right? But he played left back, was an absolute shambles. We knew there was an issue at left back. And instead of sorting that issue out, we kept playing him there, blew his confidence to shit. Then started playing Tav out there. He isn't comfortable. Now we've got all we have out there is one young fella who won't be at the club next season. And if he gets an injury, we've nothing there because we'll let our 3 left backs go, So I'm hoping the likes of Muscat or whatever comes in, hopefully Muscat comes in, can sort issues they got out too, Baz. Just play your players in the right position, but also make sure you've got enough numbers in these positions as well. Because I think that, a lot of people, some people are saying they didn't like, or they think that we've downgraded in some areas. I don't know if we have too much. I know it looks that way because we've been so poor, but I honestly think we've actually, as you say yourself, Baz, we've got some decent players. Or it's just getting them in the right positions, letting them play the way they played last season for these other clubs, and less micromanaging nonsense.
Absolutely. I just want to cut in there, William, because it came up on my own Twitter feed there, and the Snipers just posted something. Dr. Donald Cruikshank, who was a major part of Rangers in years gone by, has sadly passed away. Rangers have released a statement actually tonight, putting their condolences out. So from hands across the water, we offer our same condolences to Dr. Donald Cruikshank. Thanks for Sniper for putting that on. I actually just seen it on my Twitter feed there because I'm keeping an eye on to see if there's any announcement from Muscat. But I've seen the announcement from Rangers about Donald Cruikshank, and it's very, very sad, and our thoughts go out to his family and all his friends.
Yeah, I've just put that up, Baz. I'll just give it a quick read. So the club put that up. That must, as you said, just been while we've been on, so we haven't been able to see this. So Rangers put out a statement saying, "We are saddened to hear of the recent passing of our former long-time club doctor, Donald Cruikshank. At the club for over 3 decades and serving under multiple managers, he joined in the late 1960s and became a cornerstone of the backroom team throughout his period in the club's history. He will be remembered as a cherished part of the Rangers family, and we extend our condolences to his family and friends at this sad time." And yeah, that's very and hopefully the team or the club will put something nice for tomorrow on the big screens and get a minute silence for Dr. Cruikshank's memory. So yeah, as Baz just said, their thoughts and love from all of us here, and as I say, the comments as always are good. Our followers here, so great, much great people and proper Rangers men like ourselves. I can see he's all putting in nice comments as well. So yeah, everyone's thinking of Donald's family and friends at this sad time. Yeah, so someone put in a comment there. Sorry, Baz, I have to have a look at it again. Not sure where it was. Asking about maybe would Stevie play two strikers tomorrow? Do you think he'll change it up that much, or what's your thoughts? I'll find. There it is. There.
He might do. That's a difficult one to call. There's not a lot of people play two up front these days, so it's a big call with that. It's possible, I suppose. I'm not actually sure what Stevie will do tomorrow. I really don't know. He might go that route. I mean, Stevie's probably. I would say if there's an announcement soon, Stevie probably won't get. I would say too many games after tomorrow, so he might well just keep it simple tomorrow. And I don't actually know, William. It's a difficult one to call. I honestly don't know.
But I'll tell you one thing though, and I'll ask the guys in the comments as well. You can say yes or no, but I'm excited for tomorrow's match only for the reason is I know I'm not going to be watching that same nonsense crap, that micromanaging nonsense that's been at our club the whole season. I'm actually for once this season, in the last few weeks, buzzing for that kickoff tomorrow, Baz, because you know yourself the way it's been. You know what's going to be happening. It's the same old crap. But tomorrow, I'm like, you know what? I something good's going to happen tomorrow. Now we have egg in our faces, but I've definitely got that wee buzz and excitement for the game for tomorrow's match.
I mean, it's we all called for Russell Martin's head. It's happened. He's gone, and we look forward to the. Would we rather have had somebody in place in the dugout for tomorrow? Yes. Has there been a shit show over the last week or so with recruitment of a manager? Yes. But the reality is we are where we are. And Stevie Smith will take charge tomorrow. But yes, I am excited for tomorrow. I think them shackles will be released tomorrow, and I think you're going to see a really positive performance. I think you're going to see a good attacking performance. I think you're going to see the players probably free flowing. I think that will happen tomorrow. And if I was Dundee United, I'd actually be quite worried about tomorrow. I think with that mindset that Rangers are going into tomorrow, with Stevie having them for the last couple of days, I think that could be a real good positive for Rangers tomorrow, and possible negative for Dundee United. But again, it's like everything. We'll see the team sheet. We'll start the match. We'll see how they play in the first 10 or 15 minutes. But at the minute, yes, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad the international break's over. By the way, the boys in Northern Ireland done very well in both their games. We can't forget Northern Ireland as well. They done really well in their World Cup qualifiers. We always have to mention the Northern Ireland, especially when they've been on. But yeah, the international break's now over.
Our referee should never have been allowed to leave the country.
That referee epitomizes all referees at the minute all around Europe of how poor they are actually in that game. In that game against Germany, Northern Ireland were robbed. That's a fact. We were done over by that referee there, so we were against Germany. But that's another story.
But that's what I say as Baz as well, though, mate. And you know us, like we're Rangers men first before anything. I know that we'd love to see Northern Ireland do well, and we're Northern Ireland men, but we're Rangers men first and foremost. But I was watching the Northern Ireland game, Baz, the last two games, and I was sitting thinking to myself, you've got a team there that fight for each other, that are exciting to watch, that are attacking, that defend together, and every game you've got that in your stomach going, this is going to be nuts today. Even against the German team, the Germany for the last 10-15 minutes were actually playing keep ball, and that doesn't happen often. And that's all we want at Rangers, isn't it? But just that excitement that, as everyone's wrote in the comments, shackles off football, just let players express themselves and show what they're good at, and just go and play. And we've got that at Northern Ireland. I'm hoping we get that back at Ibrox again as well.
I think there's going to be a better feel-good factor at Ibrox tomorrow. First of all, we're not going to have the chance Martin get that's gone. We're not going to get that tomorrow. I think what you're going to see tomorrow is you're going to see the fans embrace the players, and you're going to see the fans encourage them and be a lot more positive. I think there's going to be a better feel good factor. I think before kickoff there's going to be a bit more buzz around the ground. I think there's going to be, and that's exactly what hasn't been there for a long time. So in itself, that's a huge positive. So yes, I think tomorrow is going to be fantastic. If you are able to make it the Ibrox tomorrow, I think you're going to have a much better experience at Ibrox than you have done for quite a long time. Quite a long time.
Yeah. Let me see. There's another wee comment there from James. Can NCL not play left back, guys? And yeah, he can play left back. That's a player who we've spoke up for here as the Buzz. I know he had he had a couple of bad games, and that's the truth. Well, not even bad games, individual mistakes, and that can happen. But I was really strange because AC Milan weren't wanting him to go. They were happy to keep him on and try and offer him another contract because they must have thought they've seen something in him and he can play the ball at his feet. And I think we're very quick. Russell Martin was very quick just to throw him out of the team. But he had a couple of decent clubs actually wanting him. And I think the likes of NCL has done a wee bit of a rascal thing. Instead of bolting, I think the likes of those guys have sat back and went, right, okay, this isn't going to last long anyway. We'll see how the next manager suits me, But like the NCL has just been brought. What do you think, NCL, about yourself?
A player with huge potential. Is he much worse than what's been playing? I would argue not. I mean, if you look at big Nija from Wolves, hasn't really been setting the world alight. Plus, the fact is, he's one of the few defenders that actually is a contracted Rangers football player, as in he's ours. That's a huge thing as well, because a lot of these defenders next season probably won't be back. So this guy's here. He's got a long-term contract at Rangers. He's got lots of room for development. Of course he does. But I'm just hoping when the new structure comes in, they'll give these guys that opportunity. Now, would I throw NCL in straight away? No, I don't. I think I don't. That he needs a wee bit of he needs a bit of time to get back into the squad. He's been out of it for quite a while. He hasn't even been in and around the squad really. He's been training on his own with a couple of other players that haven't really been involved with the group setup. So that's going to take a bit of time. But
Yeah.
but NCL is certainly the problem we have, William, is we're so far down the league. It's all about winning games right now. It's about getting 3 points every week and kicking on. And NCL, I would say, if you see an introduction to NCL, it'll probably be 2 to 3 months down the line. I don't think you're going to see him coming in straight away. Regardless of what your thoughts are, I don't really think that's going to happen. But yes, good player. Like, there's potential.
Yeah, and Willie Ewan there says the NCL was raw, but what about Fernandez? He looks raw, and we spent a small fortune on him, and that's a fair comment, Baz, isn't it? That's what didn't make sense to me, because if you're going to spend that money on the player, fair enough, but to not even play the guy, was it worth spending that money when you have the likes of the NCL already there? Is it worth blowing 10 million on a striker when you could have maybe 2 really top quality centre backs or another midfielder? Or, what I mean? It's been a lot of bizarre decisions, hasn't there?
Well, what you can implement, you're talking about Thilwell when you're talking about recruitment. That's the guy who's been heavily involved with bringing these guys in and where the money's being spent. So Thilwell has to take a huge amount of criticism for some of these decisions. The £3.5 million, supposedly £3.5 million for Fernandez, for a Peterborough player that Peterborough fans actually clapped when he left, was that was a major red flag for me. That one, I could never understand the Fernandez situation, because if you're spending £3.5 million on a player to bring to Scotland, for me, you're looking at at least a contended starter. But Fernandez has been nowhere near the team for weeks. He hasn't even had any game time whatsoever. NCL had got no look in whatsoever. So we'll go back to spending 10 million on a striker. that's a huge amount of money on a player that hadn't scored for 2 years. That's another crazy decision. So we can this is nothing to do with Russell Martin. This is to do with Philwell and his ideology of certain players that he brings in for certain fees. If you look at Schmidt and you look at Fernandes, you're talking nearly £14 million. £14 million injected into that side. One doesn't play, has been nowhere near the team, and one hasn't scored for 2 years. I can't get my head around that. That's absolutely mind-boggling that we were allowed to spend that amount of money on two players who haven't, at this moment in time, improved anything with that team from last season, or probably even the last 10 years. I still can't get my head around it. Mind-boggling.
Yeah. What do I don't get it? Like, and I know we have our Dessers as the Marmite for all of us, but when at least we knew with Dessers you got goals, right? Frustrating big lad, but he got goals. So I'm just thinking, what I'm thinking is, Baz, when you've got John Suter, who's only got a year left his contract, James Tavernier, who is, in my opinion, I'd be crazy if we give him a contract again next year, because I think he's just in the downward spiral. If I'm being honest, that's just my opinion on that. But I know he's probably been one of our better players this season, and that probably tells you how poor some of the players are. So there are two of our players that we do have in defence that are our own, and as I say, that's their contract situations. The other right back that we have at the club is a loan player. We've got another centre back again, who's a lone player. With our only left proper left back is a lone player, and it's just why I couldn't understand, why did the 10 million need to be spent there? Why did it have to be? If we were getting rid of a couple of players, which is fair, I understand that you've got to balance the books, but why spend the £10 million on that position when your defence, which is the most important in any team to win, you only win if you have a good defence. You build from the back. And yeah, a bit like yourself, I just couldn't understand it, just cannot understand it. But I hope that this guy, Trimity Barry, scores goals, obviously, like yourself. We all want that. Start scoring goals, and then we can just all get fucking torn in, excited, and we'll be with him, and hopefully that happens. But I'm just looking at it. It was a gamble not worth taking when your defence is in the situation that it's in at the minute, Baz.
If you look, Magoma looks a half decent wee player. He's a lone player, development player. That's what he is. Nija from Wolves is a lone development player. Mikey Moore is a lone development player. You know what I mean? These guys are being sent to Ibrox to try and get them up to some type of level. And that's half the problem. When we're fighting on the fronts of wanting to win league championships, and you've got that amount of players that are development players, that can't work. There's a comment there about Finlay Curtis. You know me, William. I have advocated for Finlay Curtis all season. Finlay Curtis has been dealt the worst hand that I've seen at Ibrox in a long time. That wee lad has been absolutely shunted to the side, and it's been an absolute disgrace. Because why should we try and develop other teams' players when we're not even developing our own players from our youth academy? The same comes with Bailey Rice, Curtis. With these guys are not getting developed at our club. They should be the beneficiaries of youth system till the first team at Ibrox. And for me, and I'm really, really hoping, William, that the next management structure looks at the likes of Finlay Curtis and gets that guy into that team straight away. Because if you look at this season and how poor we have been, and how hard it's been for us to create goals, Finlay Curtis was one of them, except for Gassama, was one of the other players that actually created goals when he was given minutes on the pitch. As soon as he did, you didn't see him for 2 or 3 games. Didn't even get 5 minutes at the end. Absolutely shocking. And that's what I'm hoping, William, the DNA is brought back to the club. Because when Rangers teams gone past, we always had good youth players coming through and were given chances. The likes of Barry Ferguson. Them type of players who just, away you go. You love Rangers. You wear your heart in your chest for Rangers. Away you go and give everything. Give 110%. So that's a big thing for me.
No, you're right. You're 100%. And you know what? I don't get it with that situation, Baz. one of the goals in Europe, especially, absolute cracking goal. Curtis scored when you're at Ibrox, just outside the own halfway line, took the ball, skinned the player, went in, bang. As soon as he seen the goal, smack. Absolute madness. Everyone was loving it, and you're thinking, whoa, he's on the scene. He is on the scene. Didn't see much more of him after that, Baz. But every time Russell Martin put him on the pitch, even for a minute here or there, when he got his chance, he banged the goal in. And you should have thought, so Russell Martin for me should have been looking at that and going, Jesus, I haven't got a lot going for me here. All I have, number one, is Gassama, because he was pulling him out of holes. And number two was Curtis. And he wouldn't play him. And he kept playing your man, Mickey Moore. Now, we've seen Mickey Moore starting it. And again, I don't want to go mad against Mickey Moore here, because I know he's a youth development player. And I don't want to, he'll have a great career, there's no doubt about it. But it's all right saying that in the future. We need players to be good now. This second for us, you know what I mean? Especially if they're not our own players. Why are we wasting our time here? Developing players, unless they can offer us something, and he hasn't offered us much. And I cannot understand how a manager in real deep shit at the minute, who the fans do not want, and how did they allow him to, how does he allow that player to keep playing when he's got the likes of Curtis, who is bossing a Rangers diehard, or he blue nose, he'll do anything to score goals for Rangers. It just does not make any sense. And a bit like yourself, I'm hoping the likes of Stevie Smith here for a start, by the way, who he's played under, who has seen him a lot and seen Curtis through all the young development stages. And hopefully, like Stevie gives, and I think he will, give Curtis Finlay a chance while he's in tenure anyway for the minute. So that may be actually a good thing. But he has to, and I'm going to sit there and go, he has to take his chance when he gets it. But he has been. That's the strange thing. Anytime he's had a chance, he's took it. And it's got him nowhere under likes of Russell Martin. It makes no sense.
And you're totally right in what you say. It's not like when Curtis came into the Rangers setup, they went, is he going to make the grade? Is he good enough? Has he got what it takes? Of course he bloody does. We've seen it. We've seen the fella on the pitch when nobody can do. We've seen him in Europe. I get real passionate about this because when I look at the likes, we're looking at Stevie Smith right now, right? Stevie Smith's taking charge for tomorrow. Who does Stevie Smith manage? He manages the under-18s. These are meant to be the next generations of Rangers players coming through the academy and coming into the first team. And if you see what's happening to the likes of Finlay Curtis, Bailey Race, what does that say to Stevie Smith's under-18 team? How does he build them up to say, lads, you do really well, you're going to get a chance at Rangers first team? They're going to look at Finlay Curtis and going, I have fucking no chance. If he can't get on, I don't. And that's what needs to change at Rangers.
I know.
You don't need 5 or 6 players coming in. But see if you get 1 or 2 wee gems that get drafted into the squad and get regular game time, and they're able to push themselves. And that you know what that does with them? That gives credibility to the youngsters. We go, if Finlay Curtis can get into that team and play every week, I can do that. And that's where my point is. We're absolutely blasting these young players into nowhere. And it's a huge problem at Rangers. And how do we fix it? Spend 10 million on a striker who hasn't scored in 2 years. Spend 3.5 million on a defender from League One who isn't very good. We don't need to do that. Sometimes the players are already at your club. Robbie Fraser's another one. Robbie Fraser.
That's why I'm sitting sweating like OT times.
Yeah. Well, Robbie Fraser had a brilliant second half of the season at Livingston. Came into the new season really confident, had done really well. That team got promoted. He didn't get even 1 minute of game time in the pitch, not one. That's where my whole point is. That Rangers need to get back to that whole ethos of, we're in Scotland, William. We can only spend so much money. We can have billionaires running the club. It doesn't really matter. We can only spend so much in Scotland. And part of saving money is using what you have, getting these young players through and putting them on the pitch and letting them go. And it has to go back to that.
And what I don't understand, Baz, too, right? Now, see the argument. Why people put the argument across going, look, it's hard for them to play youth players. It's hard for them to play youth players because they need to be winning every week. They need to be winning and the pressure. Fair enough. But when you're playing someone else's fucking teenager who's not even your player at the very same time while you're watching your young player who fucking has showed a lot more, and he's not getting on the pitch, then that argument goes out the window. You know what I mean? It goes out the fucking window. But I'm hoping, as I say, we like Curtis. You know, if it was for me in January, honestly, I'd be saying, right, you know, if I don't know if it's true, this talk of he has to play so many games. If I'm honestly, if I come in, I must cut. I'm going, right. Tell you what, scrap whatever it costs us, get it fucking sorted, get him back down the road. We've got a young player here who's busting, wants to be here for the future. You know what I mean? He's Rangers, he's a blue nose, and he scores goals every time he plays. We'll have him in the pitch. Thanks, no worries. You can send him down the road. You know, if that's the case. And as I say, look, I don't get me wrong. I hope Maggie Moore has a good season with Rangers if he is there, especially under Muscat playing this, you know, free flowing football. And it might suit him a lot more. But do not allow that situation to keep young Curtis on the bench, and when we should really be letting him thrive. You know.
The biggest problem you have with Moore is if it's contracted that Moore must play a certain amount of games for Rangers, then you have a slight problem. That then you're in a different type of waters. But you know, we're playing Thursday nights, we're playing weekends, we're playing Thursday nights, we're playing weekends, we're playing cup games, Scottish Cup games, we're playing League Cup games, with lots of league games coming up. There's lots of space and time for the likes of Curtis to get minutes. You know, we can't play the exact same 11 every week and every Thursday, every Sunday, that's not going to happen. So there's an opportunity there to bring those type of players in. It's just when I seen the likes of Curtis, William, there was one of the games, there was 5 subs, and I look, this guy isn't even going to put Curtis on at all. And the game, we were at the point, William, we needed a goal, and I'm thinking, Curtis, get him on. Curtis has got the mentality this season; he can go and get the winner for you. But no, it didn't happen. And you know, I'm hoping that changes with a new head coach and a better ethos on how we use our players.
Yeah, 100%. This is it. As I say, let me see. I'll be up, lads. Can I buy you lads a coffee? Let me know. Yeah, we've got a wee site there. It's buy me a coffee. It's called. I'll put it in the comments here just before we finish. And if anyone would like to donate to that, you can. You're more than welcome to. It does help us and helps us maybe put out a few more shows. You know, we're talking about maybe getting into memberships and stuff because when you're on YouTube, you have to have so many watching hours and so many subscribes. Obviously, to even be able to get memberships and stuff, you have to hit all this criteria, which me and Baz have done somehow. Thanks to all you guys and girls who in the comments have only done 38 videos on YouTube, and we've already got a good following, and we can get memberships and stuff. So if you would like to donate to that, as I say, the memberships could be a wee while yet until you have to go through all this process and stuff, but we're going to try and get that sorted, and hopefully if you want to be members, would really, really appreciate that. But you don't have to be. We'll always still be here. It just means we can put out more content, and obviously if we do get memberships, and it helps us be able to do that and stuff. But yeah, thanks, mate. We'll put in a wee link if you want to donate to that. You're more than welcome to, buddy. So yeah, Baz, just quickly say we've talked through a lot today. The Muscat situation you're happy with. If it all comes through, hopefully it'll happen soon. Hopefully by the time we're on live again on Monday, at least we'll know. And if we have to wait a while, okay, that's crap. But we'll do it if we see the light at the end of the tunnel. But as for tomorrow's game against Dundee United, what are you expecting to see? And obviously we want a victory, but well, you know what? I'll ask you this one, and people in the comments can ask this. We'll call this the last one. Sorry, we can talk about the match obviously tomorrow, work away as well, Baz. But just people are saying that the league's over. And is it over for you? Do you think the league is over, or do you think if we got a bit of a winning run, we could get ourselves back into a title fight?
I think. Well, the fact is we have to get on a winning run. That's the only way we can actually even hope that we can win a league. We'll have to win. We'd have to win at least 96 or 97% of the games remaining, probably, to do that, because we are so far behind. Hearts will at some point drop. I don't think they'll do an Aberdeen. I don't think they'll drop that badly, but I do think that'll happen. Them ones across the city are not a good side. They are not a good side. Yes, they do have a knack of winning games. They do have a knack of getting last-minute winners and all the rest of it, but they've got problems themselves. I think. By the way, we do play them another 3 times. There's 9 points there that can be in our advantage. We play Hearts 3 times. That's another 9 points that could be in our advantage. So can we do it? Yes, mathematically we can definitely do it. If the coach comes in with the right mentality and gets us on a crack and run, why not? Because at the end of the day, what's the point of a new coach coming in and us going, league's over? You can't think like that. You got to be positive. You got to go in with the right mindset. And yeah, I do think we can. It's a big ask. I think the last regime has left us in a very, very bad position. But yes, I think we can do it if we get the right structures in and we let the team play the way they can play. My only gripe is at this minute in time is our defense, as in not the goalkeeper. He's been absolutely fantastic all season, and only for him, William would probably be in a worse position. We still need to tighten up that back line. That back line is very weak for me. It's slow. It's very methodical. It needs to be sharper. It needs to be quicker. They need to be pressing better, and they need to be holding their lines better. But if a new coach can identify that and make that stronger, and probably I would say that'll be something that'll be identified again in the next window. Maybe you might see another 1 or 2 coming into that back line in the winter window. Why not? We're Rangers. We've been in positions before where we've turned things around. So yeah, why not?
There we go. Bit of positivity. There you go. Baz said it's still on. Why not? Well, hopefully, we'll be back again on Monday. We've really enjoyed your company as always. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for just keeping asking us questions and firing things in as well, because it makes it easy for me and Baz just to chat. We just love talking about Rangers, even though we're shite for a lot of the times and we're pissed off, and we do get pissed off, but we just love Rangers. We're Rangers fanatics. It's an addiction for us, just like it is for everyone in the comments. And that's why I was laughing. Like, who else? What other support goes to watch a random Chinese game at 11 a.m. in the morning? Baz was sending me the links. Here's how we can watch it and all, and we're lunatics because we love it, and that's just the way it is. But we deserve better. And hopefully, with the likes of Muscat and stuff coming in, things will come our way, because we do deserve it. And you guys and gals in the comments deserve it too, because fuck me, nobody supports their club better than we support our club. We are a great fan base, and we do deserve a bit better. So hopefully the ownership can get this right. As I say, guys, we'll put this into the comments, that Baz a coffee link, until we get the memberships up. And if anyone would like to do that, you are more than welcome. Our friends at Four Lads have just went live, actually. So if you want to pop over to watch them, guys, we're going to have Stevie on the show with us on Monday. So that'll be a bit of good crack. And I think Baz or myself, one of the two of us, are going to be on Four Lads on Sunday night. So you'll be able to see one of the two of us there. Hopefully Baz, because I said to Baz, he needs to get onto that with that bar, because people would absolutely love that bar in the comments. But yeah, we'll be back with you soon, guys and gals, and hopefully a win for Rangers this weekend, and we'll speak to you on Monday.